Ashtavakra Gita, chapter 2, verse 15. Knowledge, the knower, and that which is to be known, has the triad, do not really exist in reality. I am that stainless consciousness in which this triad appears through ignorance. Knowledge, the knower, and that which is to be known as the triad do not really exist in reality. Let's first understand the triad that we are seeing in this verse. The sage is talking about the knowledge, knower, and the known. The knower is the ego, and the world that is formed from this ego is the known, and the transaction between the ego and the world is the knowledge. Let us see why sage is saying that these three is not at all a reality. The sage has spoken about ego in many verses. If we look back at those verses, we can see that ego primarily acts as a knower, and this knower is the experiencer of the known. And this experience results in knowledge. That's the reason saints have always told us to look at the knower. Because the knowledge that has been acquired is an image of the knower or the ego. And the sages have told us to know this knower first. This is acting as a base with all the illusions that is being projected. If you would like to look at any of the previous verses, I have attached the playlist link in the description, which comprises of all the verses. Just acquiring the knowledge won't help without knowing the knower. The knower is the one who creates this knowledge of known, and with the help of its own creation, the ego says, I have known now. If we see this relation, we can see that it's all the same. The ego just differentiates these as three to live in illusion, while in reality it's all the same. It's just the ego. It's just the ego which is creating a language for separation of these three. The sages are not saying that knowledge is not important. The meaning of this verse is to say that the knowledge of knowing the self is the purest knowledge. And this knowledge is most precious one. All other knowledge is just an image that the ego projects. Ego itself is not true. Then, how can anything that is projected from ego be true? So, with this knowledge of the false, can truth be seen? That's the reason sages say that this is not at all a reality. The base on which the knower, the known, and the knowledge is standing is who you are. And this pure base is the only truth. And this truth is what I am. Everything else is illusion.